My sisters and brothers, you owe yourself the love you give others. That's not just a catchy phrase, it's a deep truth that many of us forget while trying to hold everything together for everyone else. We give so freely. Our time, our energy, our loyalty, our kindness, it flows out of us with sincerity. But then something happens. We look around and realize that the love we poured into others hasn't come back to us. The people we stood by during their storm, they are nowhere to be found in our silence. The ones we kept choosing, they stopped choosing us. And it hurts, not just emotionally, but spiritually. It makes you question your worth. It makes you wonder if maybe something is wrong with you. But here's what you need to understand. Loving others isn't wrong. Giving isn't wrong. What's wrong is forgetting yourself in the process. You see, sometimes we think that our value lies in how much we can tolerate, how much we can give before breaking, how many times we can be overlooked and still smile. But that's not love, that's self-abandonment. And the more you abandon yourself for others, the more disconnected you become from your own soul, from your own purpose. Life was never meant to be lived as a constant sacrifice for those who wouldn't even lift a finger if you were drowning. And maybe you were raised to always put others first. Maybe you were taught that love means constantly giving without expecting anything in return. But what about you? What about your heart, your needs, your healing? What about the nights you cried yourself to sleep, wondering why you felt so empty after giving so much? You owe yourself that same care. That same softness, that same patience you give to people who don't even notice your struggle. We often wait for someone else to come along and treat us the way we deserve. Someone to validate us. Someone to finally pour into us the way we've poured into others. But the truth is, healing doesn't begin with them. It begins with you. It begins the moment you realize that you are not a backup plan, that your heart is not a convenience, that your time, your energy, your presence, they're valuable. And if someone can't see that, then it's their loss, not yours. We are not taught how to choose ourselves. We're taught how to hold on, how to forgive, how to keep peace even when we're breaking. But there comes a point when you have to stop setting yourself on fire just to keep someone else warm. You have to stop explaining your worth to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. You have to stop shrinking to fit into spaces you've already outgrown. When you start focusing on yourself, something beautiful happens. You stop begging for love, stop settling for crumbs. You stop waiting for apologies that may never come. And you begin to understand that your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. If you don't respect yourself, others won't. If you don't prioritize yourself, others won't. If you don't love yourself, you'll keep searching for love in places that only wound you deeper. This doesn't mean you become selfish or arrogant. It means you draw boundaries. It means you protect your peace. It means you no longer allow access to people who only take and never give. You were not created to be a dumping ground for other people's trauma. You are not a sponge meant to absorb pain. You are a soul meant to be nourished, a heart meant to be held with care. And yes, letting go is hard, especially when you've built a life around someone. Especially when you thought they'd be the one to stand beside you forever. But sometimes the people you fight hardest for are the very ones who are draining your light. And the only way to rise is to release. To let them go, not with bitterness, but with peace. Not with hatred, but with wisdom. You're not giving up, you're growing up. And growth often looks like distance, like silence, like walking away from what no longer serves you. Some people will call you cold for choosing yourself. They'll say you've changed. Let them talk. They weren't around when you were crying behind closed doors. They didn't see the nights you stayed up questioning your worth. They didn't feel the ache in your chest when you were constantly misunderstood. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your healing. And it's in those quiet moments when you're finally alone with your thoughts that you begin to hear the voice you've been silencing for years. Your own. The one that says, I'm tired, I'm worthy, I deserve more. And that voice isn't selfish. It's sacred. It's the beginning of your return to yourself. There's something powerful in solitude. When you stop chasing people and start chasing peace, your entire energy shifts. You become lighter. You begin to attract better. You stop needing constant reassurance because you've built a home within your own heart. And that kind of love, the love you give yourself, no one can take that away. It's the kind of love that doesn't waver based on someone else's mood or presence. It's steady. It's sacred. Some of you have spent years loving people who didn't know how to love you back. You've prayed for them, cried for them, fought for them, and all they gave you in return was confusion, pain, or silence. That wasn't your failure. That was their capacity. And you can't keep lowering your standards to match someone else's limitations. You were made for deeper connections. You were created for honest, nurturing love, not these shallow ties that leave you feeling more alone than when you started. And the truth is, sometimes we are afraid to be alone because we've never learned how to be with ourselves. We've always had someone or something to pour into, to fix, to worry about. But when you're finally alone, you meet the real you, the unfiltered you. And that's when you realize you are more than enough. Your presence is a gift. Your love is a treasure. Your soul is worthy of peace. So if you're in a place right now where you're holding on to someone who keeps hurting you, who keeps making you question your worth, I want to tell you this. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to protect your heart. You're allowed to choose yourself. And not just allowed, you must. Because if you don't choose you, no one else will. And sometimes the greatest act of love isn't holding on, it's letting go. Not because you stopped loving them, but because you finally started loving yourself. Let them go. Focus on yourself. Your healing, your peace, your growth, it all begins there.